Many of us are trying to find ways to build a more sustainable world for future generations. We're concerned that our planet's well-being isn't as secure as it once seemed. But on every continent, there are new environmentalists who are committed to change. Whether it's an individual, a small group, or a grassroots organization, they've made personal sacrifices that most of us couldn't even imagine.
I'd been through hell with all these mining companies. The dust and the noise all day, all night. It never stops. I just didn't want other people to go through hell.
Le grand problème qu'il y allait embraser les gorilles.
The biggest problem we ever had was when Soko came to drill for oil in the park. It was very painful because it would surely be a catastrophe for the gorillas.
Barbar? Police?
The police repeatedly tried to repress us. We were attacked and beaten, but we were committed to a completely non-violent protest.
The new environmentalists, ordinary people affecting extraordinary change. The glitz and glamour of Hollywood isn't that far from the working class communities of East Los Angeles. These neighborhoods are home to generations of Latino families.
Despite what a lot of people's perceptions are of East LA, this is definitely a hard-working, family-driven community.
Mark Lopez learned about the importance of community involvement at the feet of his activist grandparents.
My family's been here since the 50s. My daughters are fourth generation. This is the community we've built, the community we're responsible for, the community we fight for.
The people of East LA have been living in the shadow of Exide's battery recycling plant for more than 3 decades.
The aim of the facility was to get the lead out that was inside those old batteries to make new batteries. So it sounds like a great type of recycling operation, right? But the fumes from the lead in the batteries would go up the stack and out into the community.
And in that process, release lead dust into the air to the tune of 7 million pounds over 30 years.
This widespread blanket of pollution resulted in extremely elevated lead levels in the children living here, contributing to health issues as deadly as cancer.
We actually had to go door to door knocking to inform residents of what was happening and get them to sign up to get their homes tested because the state wasn't taking that on.
In addition to this community outreach, Lopez organized protests and testified at government panels demanding soil testing.
And people have told me, oh, you know Mark's mad when he smiles really big. It makes me really angry.
Lopez further mobilized people with events like his toxic bike tours.
You can't see Exide from here, but there's Exide lead in this soil.
Soil testing revealed the contamination was worse than anyone expected. This brought greater attention to the environmental health disaster. His efforts led the government to force Exide to cease operation. It was one remarkable victory. But there was an even bigger challenge ahead, as Lopez then switched his focus to securing funding for contaminated soil cleanup.
We worked with Mark and with the community group that he represents, the East Side Yards, and we took a busload of about 50 community residents to Sacramento. Less than a month after that trip, that's when the governor announced that he was going to put forward $176 million. But we know that the cost of cleanup is above $350 million. This is our Flint, Michigan.
There's never been a cleanup of this magnitude. In the area the state is currently looking at, we're talking about 10,000 residential properties.
Lopez continues his work passionately involved in protecting and fighting for his community and his growing young family.
Thinking about my daughters, Chole and Luna, I want them to understand that they have a responsibility to ensure that our communities are safe, that our communities are healthy.